such a joy and such a blessing to be back together again. Let's begin with just a few moments. Just close your eyes and just allow yourself to fully arrive. Your body is here, but is your full awareness? Your consciousness, your presence? Allow yourself right here, in this very moment, in this very breath, to be nowhere but here. Allow the awareness to unhook itself from all of the constantly changing objects of the world around us. The sights and the sounds, the sensations, all of that we're usually hooked into. Allow the awareness to unhook from that and to pull very deeply into the center of yourself. Allow the awareness to merge into the breath. Let that breath be the center point that pulls and anchors your mind and your awareness. It's not that you're engrossed in the breath. It's just an anchor for the awareness. And as you draw that awareness inward, allow it to go deeper and deeper. Using the breath as a vehicle, allow that awareness to spread throughout the very being of you. Just be aware. Whatever it is that arises in the form of thought, in the form of feeling, in the form of memory, whether it's of the past or the future, don't worry about it. Don't allow yourself to get distracted into story. Just be aware. Notice it and draw the awareness back to the breath. Just back to the breath in this very moment. No judgment, no stories, no analysis, no drama. Don't get lost anywhere. Just allow the awareness to keep returning to the breath. Returning to the very core of your being. And ever so gently, bring the palms of your hands together at chest level and just rub the palms of your hands gently against each other. And then place the cupped palms of your hands over your eyes. Slowly lower the hands and open your eyes. Welcome again to Satsang. It's so beautiful to be starting Satsang again. As I mentioned in the Arati, I was out for the last few weeks, and there's so much joy in being able to share and spread this touch of Ma Ganga around the world. But coming back home, dropping back here on the banks of Ganga, back into Satsang is such a blessing. Please come on in, those of you in the back, our Rishi Kumars, Puneet Bhaiya, go. No. Just find a seat. We always begin Satsang with a question that's come from our family online. All of those who aren't able to be physically here, but who send their questions in via email or social media, however it may be. But they join us through all of the different gifts of technology. We'll start with one of their questions and then we'll open it up to any question that anyone here might have. So feel free to just raise your hand. Habia? So we'll start with one of these and then we will open it up to any questions that anyone here has. So feel free to just raise your hand and we will take your question. But starting with one of these that has come in advance. I sense a deep calling to live my Dharma and support human consciousness, but I feel an unconscious block. How can I release this energy and move forward? so living our Dharma is not always easy. You know, these days there's so much energy and so many talks and teachings around finding your purpose, knowing your purpose, finding your reason. And it's beautiful, it's wonderful. The dilemma with it is that as anything that becomes something we package and sell, it has to be something that sounds fun and enticing and romantic and glamorous and all of those things. Our Dharma, our highest purpose, is not always glamorous. It's not always romantic. It's not always fun. It's not always that makes everyone around me say, oh wow, you know, you're the best, you're so great. A lot of times our deepest and highest purpose may be something no one knows. It may be something that no one even notices until after we've died. Or maybe something no one ever notices. It may be something that's really quite difficult. Something that certainly leads to us getting enemies. Look at public figures who have been revolutionary leaders of peace, of love. Look at Gandhiji, look at Martin Luther King, look at these beings who have brought such transformation in the world, such inspiration in the world. But during their lifetimes, along with followers, how many people there were who were against them? How much struggle they went through? Look at the Mahabharata, look at the Ramayana. Look at the life of Bhagwan Ram, the divine on earth, who we refer to as Maryada Purush, like the embodiment, the very embodiment of Dharma. Was what he went through fun? Romantic? Glamorous? Look at the story of the Mahabharata. Look at the Pandavas. Was what Arjun went through glamorous and romantic and fun? Not at all. And so it's really important when you're going to walk your Dharma. A lot of times we have blocks because there's fear. What's going to happen? What are people going to say? We're so programmed in so many ways, socially, to do that which people like, to do that which makes people say, wow, 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 you're amazing. You're so wonderful. And a lot of times it's really hard to necessarily walk a path, live a life, advocate for something, stand up for something, live something, speak something that isn't where everyone else is going. You think about the first people who stood up for human rights, who stood up for women's rights, who stood up to give women the vote, who stood up for equality, who stood up for the rights of people of different sexual orientations, different gender identities, whatever differences there may be. This is not easy work. And so as we find ourselves called to live our Dharma deeply, to wake up ourselves from the sleep that so many of us have been in, and then to be instruments of healing in the world. There's internal blocks. This person feels them in their throat chakra. People feel them in the heart. We feel them all over. I'm afraid to speak. What's going to happen? Will I get made fun of? What if I fail? I'll be humiliated. What will people say? We feel these blocks everywhere. A lot of times, that which is our highest purpose is not necessarily the way we've been raised. Most of us have been raised to get a good job, make a lot of money, make a name for yourself in society, look good, make the neighbors happy, make them jealous if you can. And a lot of times when we are walking a spiritual path, that just stops being our highest purpose. We're called toward other things. And there's energetic blocks inside. Blocks of the ego, blocks of patterns that are like, no, 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 don't walk away from that which you've been taught, that which you've been told, that which everyone else is doing. And the way we work with them is we sit with them, we acknowledge it, we notice it, but we re-anchor ourselves in our highest truth. Whatever chakra inside, wherever you feel that energetic block, just bring the awareness there. Awareness with love. Yeah. It's scary. It's scary to walk away from how we've been indoctrinated, from how we've been brainwashed. Sounds really bad, and I don't necessarily mean it in such a malicious way. But a lot of us really have been brainwashed in terms of what the highest purpose is, what our life goals should be, what we should strive for, what we should pay attention to, what we should look for in ourselves and our partners. So don't be worried if there's a bit of an energetic block. Just notice it, be aware, and move on. My favorite teaching on Dharma is the very, very short, very simple mantra that Bhagavan Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita, which is really a sutra for life, a mantra for life. He says, Mamnu smard yudhyacha. Remember me and fight the war. Means remember God. Whether you worship God in the name and form of Krishna or Christ or any other name or form, it doesn't matter. Whatever your religion may be, whether you don't even have a religion, it doesn't matter. But remember the divine, the presence of spirit, of soul. It means remember yourself. Your capital S self. Remember yourself. And fight the war means do your duty. He said it to Arjun, whose duty was to fight the war. But whatever your duty is, do it. Remember God. Remember your true self. And then have the courage, have the faith to do your duty, your Dharma. But again, we come back, remember God, remember yourself. Means it's not up to you, it's not the weight on your shoulders. It's not all about you. The divine is there carrying you, holding you. So remember the divine, remember yourself, capital S self. And then do your duty. Beautiful. Other questions that anyone here has? Just, yes, Jimmy. Yes, two of you over here. Thank you.
Thank you. I've been following Satsang for a long time now online in the morning for me, and it's so helpful, but it's so different being here. It's so magical to be in Parmarth. My question is, how come so many of us have to go through such a dark path to awakening?
Beautiful. Beautiful. He said, I imagine most of you heard, but just in case some in the back maybe didn't, he said, how come so many of us have to walk through such a dark path in order to awaken? Well, it's like they say, it's always darkest before the dawn, right? There's a lot of reasons for it. On a purely nature of nature reason. In order to step into the light, to recognize it, to realize it, there almost always has to be some kind of darkness. There's a reason that in every case that I know personally, and in every case that I've heard of, all of those people, and I'm not counting the enlightened masters who literally come on earth awakened, like who came on earth on purpose to guide the rest of us along. But I mean all of the rest of us who are here because of our karmic packages, who are here because of our karmic bank accounts, because of that which is left from past lives, if you believe in past lives. All of that, for the rest of us, I've never seen in my life, and I've never heard of anyone who attained a very high, deep state spiritually without having gone through very deep struggles and challenges. And the struggles and challenges came in a whole variety of different forms depending on the people. But you never really hear stories of sort of the Brady Bunch gets enlightened. I mean, it's like you've got sort of the Brady Bunch stories over here, and then you have the stories of spiritual turmoil and triumph over here. The agony and the ecstasy over here. The mind is very, very difficult. And the reason that I say that is, in addition to all of the other reasons, is because it tends to like to take the easiest way out. And again, if you go back to just science, when I say nature of nature, the cycle of day and night, darkness and light, if you look at physics, and you look at inertia, for example, what does it tell us? The law of inertia. An object that is still will stay still unless it is acted upon by an external force. If everything is going fine in my life, if I'm living that metaphoric Brady Bunch life, raise your hand if I'm too old and you don't know who the Brady Bunch are so I can... Okay, just have to, every once in a while, check and make sure that metaphors are actually apt for everybody sitting there. If you're living a life in which everything is just fine, it's a type of inertia. The mind lives in a very narrow framework of feeling, of emotion, of thought. Never gets much higher, never drops much lower. And you just live in that state, because that is the nature of the mind. As long as everything is fine, why would you want to spend so much of every day sitting like this with your eyes closed, right? I mean, there's There's TikTok to watch. Like why would you meditate? Why would you pray? Why would you do these things? Rather than just, hang out, be with your friends, have a cup of tea in the tea shop, scroll on social media. If there's nothing that you're looking for beyond what you already have, why bother? And that's why I think those who actually attain those states, attain them because they've been, you could say, literally by the energies of the universe, pushed out of inertia into it. The place that we were in, and I say we because I'm certainly in that group, the place that we were in is a place in which life doesn't feel so good. You may have everything outside. All of the money you may have, all of the possessions, all of the whatever it may be. It's not that you have to be a millionaire, but like everything is set. As Pujya Swamiji said in the Arati, everything is set outside. But you're upset inside. Whether something specific has happened to you, or whether there is just an internal state of dis-ease that is grateful for the depths of the darkness they have been through, because it pushed us onto a spiritual path. If you don't have something to forgive, you're never going to know the joy of the freedom that comes through forgiveness. If you don't have something that is keeping you stuck and holding you back, you're never going to know the joy of the freedom that comes from letting go. So that darkness is there. You can think of it karmically as there. Because surely there were lessons in it that you needed to work through, walk through. And because it is through that here you are, right? I mean, here we are sitting in satsang. Here we are on the banks of Ganga in a holy city. There's no alcohol allowed. There's no meat allowed. Like, think about the number of people in the world who at this time of day are sitting in pubs and clubs and bars or hamburger joints or wherever it may be. And we have chosen of our own free will, our own volition. We've spent money to get here, to this holy place, rather than sitting in clubs and bars and hamburger joints. Why? Because on some level we are all walking from that darkness to light. Walking from falsehood to truth. But you've got to be aware that you are living in falsehood in order to look for the truth. If you're not aware of it, and when things feel really fine, we're not usually aware of it. You don't stop and say, God, is this dinner party all Maya? Is my shopping trip all Maya? If you're enjoying it, who's going to stop and question it? We only stop and question when something inside is hurting us. And then we say, is this all there is? Isn't there something else? Am I meant to feel like this? Really? This is what life is. And then we start looking, and we go deeper and deeper. And then we find ourselves here. Yeah, beautiful. You know, it used to be, now it's very easy. Now you just get on an airplane and you arrive in the Dehradun Rishikesh airport and you're here in 30 minutes. It's easy. When I first got here, it was, you know, a 7-hour drive from Delhi. The roads were awful. Rishikesh hasn't gotten farther from Delhi. It's still only, you know, not even 200 miles, but the roads were awful. It was a 7-hour, bumpy, awful drive. Yes.
Jai Gange.
Jai Gange, can you stand so we can all see your beautiful face? Thank you.
So in your previous answer you mentioned...
Volume बढ़ा दो.
So in your previous answer you mentioned that we are not...
Can you hear her in the back? No. Volume बढ़ा दो भैया.
So in your previous answer you mentioned that we are not wired necessarily to be looking for the right things within ourselves and our partner. So what is it that a person should look for in their partner?
Beautiful. Beautiful. What should we look for in a partner? You should look for someone through whose association, through whose presence in your life, you can get closer and closer to truth and closer to God. That's the point. It's not about just how much fun it is. It's not about how much sensory pleasure you can have. It's about getting closer and closer to the divine. And I don't mean that that person has to necessarily be a religious person, or even somebody who identifies as spiritual. It's not, oh, you have to marry somebody from your yoga class or from your, you know, kirtan group or your satsang group. It's not that. Or you have to marry somebody you meet at the temple or church. No. But you have to meet someone who sees you as spirit and soul rather than just the body. If you're with someone who sees you just as who you are, what you say, what you do, how you act, what your job is, if you're with someone who's just connecting with you on the level of the physical body and what it does during the 24 hours of the day, then you're going to keep identifying yourself like that. Our self-identification in a lot of cases is made up of the projections that we get from other people. It shouldn't be, but it happens. Somebody says to you, oh my God, you are so ugly. Doesn't matter how good your self-confidence is normally. I guarantee the moment you walk out, person, that immediately goes very deeply within. And if you've got someone who is responding to you, seeing you, interacting with you only on the basis of, oh my God, you're so beautiful, or, oh, that dinner was really good, or, God, you look really good in that dress, or, oh, whatever it was. Anything that is just about how the body looks, what the body does, what the body says, you will keep thinking of yourself like that. You will identify yourself as that. And that's going to take you farther and farther from your truth. Be with someone who sees you as spirit, as soul, as consciousness, as divinity, as essence. And don't worry what word they use. Again, it doesn't have to be somebody who's necessarily religious and talks about soul and spirit, but just someone who sees your essence, for whom it's not about what you look like or what you do, or, you know, Did you do exactly what they wanted when they wanted it? But are they seeing the depth of you, the highest aspect of you, the truth of you? And are they able to hold space for you to see that when you can't? When you're struggling, with something in this karmic, material, physical world, your job, your family, relationships, whatever it may be, when you're struggling, do they only relate to you on the basis of the external aspect of the struggle? I mean, if you come home and you're like, oh my God, my boss this, or my colleague that, or, the guy at the grocery store this, or the traffic that, are they only going to get into your drama? Oh my God, yeah, you really better be angry. That's awful. I'll come down and talk to them for you. Or are they going to help you remember who you are as heart, as divinity, as soul, as spirit, as essence, as light? Are they going to remind you that, yeah, other people have their own karmic journeys, their own karmic toolboxes, however they may explain it, but something that helps you reconnect with the self that isn't the drama, the self that isn't the story? Or are they just going to jump right into that narrative with you? So you want someone who's going to keep reflecting back to you your highest being, your truest being, and who's going to hold the space for that. So if you come home and you say, I'm thinking of quitting my 7-figure salary job because I really want to be a poet. Or I want to go on a 3-month silent meditation retreat and my boss is not going to give me the time off. And so I'm confident I'll find another job, but I really need to quit this one because I'm feeling really called to doing this meditation retreat. That they support you. And they don't say, oh my God, what do you mean? Well then, but that they are reflecting your highest goals back to you. It's not that they're going to let you do it on impulse. It's not that you come home from one bad day at work and you say, forget it all, I'm going away for 3 months. At that time, they're going to reflect back a more centered aspect of you. But they're going to always be there, seeing, acknowledging, celebrating, honoring your highest self. And of course, remember though, don't set the bar so high that you actually only can, be with 3 people on the planet who actually fit your criteria, and 2 of them have already passed away a couple hundred years ago, and, one of them is 95 and living on a mountain someplace. But recognize that they are also human, so they're not going to be able to do that all the time. And recognize, of course, that your role is going to be to do the same for them. And see how you feel when you're with them. Do you feel like a body? Do you feel like a role? Do you feel like a job? Do you feel like a bank account? Or do you feel like spirit and soul and divinity? That inner self will know. Beautiful. Beautiful. Have a beautiful rest of your evenings. A beautiful morning and day to our family joining us from the gift of technology online. We will now be having satsang every day again by God's grace. I'm back with by divine grace, no plans to be traveling anywhere in the near future. So we'll be gathering. Yeah, I feel like that too. I feel exactly like that. So we'll be gathering for satsang, and I hope that you all attend the beautiful Ganga Aarti before coming, because satsang beginning timing does tend to vary, 5-10 minutes here or there, depending on how late the Aarti goes, what time it ends. But approximately we will be gathering somewhere between 6:45 and 7 each evening, just after the Aarti ends. But do make sure to come to the Aarti, because then you'll know exactly when we'll be gathering. And during the rest of your day, please make sure to really dive into all of the beautiful offerings that we have here, all of the yoga classes and the meditation classes, the philosophy, the morning fire ceremony, the yagna. And make sure to also have some time just sitting on the banks of Ma Ganga. And I look so forward to seeing you again tomorrow. If you didn't have a chance to ask your question tonight, just be quick tomorrow. Or if you feel shy to ask it in public, you can get it to our beautiful Seva team, and they will get it to me in writing so that it becomes one of those that we take first. But don't feel shy. This is a beautiful family, a beautiful community to support you in your quest as we all walk this path together. So much love to you all.